Are we considering other neighborhoods? Do we need an overall, I guess I keep going back to the word plan.
Well, American cities in general have, planning departments are typically not driving development. The public-private partnership is the way of life now in American cities. So, it would be great to have strong public sector support driving these projects, ensuring that the whole city is getting addressed, of course.
Okay, so we mentioned earlier that the project in the Central West End did not get tax incentives. Is it time to stop that? How are we as a date? Are we? Can we afford to be picky? Can we afford to say, IKEA, you need to switch your design, or we don't want you?
It would be great if we could. We need to, do we want good urbanism? That's the question.
And I don't
we want a walkable, good city, yeah.
I don't think we need a citywide plan, but it would be nice to have standards, right? Form-based code standards or some sort of standard that each neighborhood can pick up. And maybe the standards are developed within the neighborhood so that it retains the authenticity of each neighborhood. But I think standards are important. I don't necessarily think we need a widespread plan, because once you put a plan in place, it's going to be outdated the moment you dot the last I and cross the last T. But I think standards are very important.
I would be careful to overuse the word plan. Plans are very fixed, and I would think we need a framework, which is just a kind of direction and a sort of set of goals that are articulated. Yeah. So I wouldn't say plan as a hard line drawing necessarily.
And much of the discussion tonight has been about the central corridor area, where there's seen value of a plan or a framework or form-based code or whatever, but it's, I think, interesting to think that what's going on there now is an overlay of what's been happening in that part of St. Louis for well over a century, where there's the march of institutions west, followed by residents and commercial uses, and now we're seeing a replay of that in new development.
We have 90 seconds before we transition from the air to online, keeping that goal in mind. I'm just curious if this, I want to go back, how important, Todd, resident philosopher, is the infrastructure we're talking about with the internet to all of the rest of this conversation?
Well, I think what's interesting is cities are, as I said, are about face-to-face interactions, and the internet's about reaching out to the entire globe, right? It transcends space, but actually the two can reinforce one another. In other words, by having these kinds of high-speed connections, you can have an exciting place, and part of why that place will be exciting is because people will interact there face-to-face, not just over the internet, right? So the two can be, I think, very exciting together.
And I would add to that, to what both of them are saying, and Patty, that the information highway is causing movement backward, inward, but it's not just the central business district. They're going to settle in different innovation districts and innovation neighborhoods because people want to have a sense of place and cultural distinction. But once we get connected and we have this loose framework of collaboration where we share, this will be huge for St. Louis.